Booktuber, welcome or welcome back to my channel. Welcome to this year's mid-year celebration book tag, and this is sort of my change up, my update to the usual mid-year freakout tag. So I started that last year and I thought I was keep going. You know what, I want to celebrate more things and I want to be more positive, and yeah, so I thought I really had a lot of fun like thinking in terms of like all of these top things that I read last year. So I thought I would keep going this year, and hopefully a few of you have joined me. Thank you for those that I tagged that have decided to keep this going. And yeah, it's been so far, it's been a good like first half of the year. I read 51 books up to like the end of June. Obviously I've read more by this point, but it has been slowing down, especially since I didn't read the whole long list from the Women's Prize this year, and also from sort of April and then May and June I started reading like a more normal amount of books, and so it's been going down more and more, especially because I've been focusing more on my PhD and sort of, you know, finishing some renovation on the side, but then deciding that I should be focusing on the PhD more, and maybe I should be reading more, you know, in my downtime for the PhD rather than, you know, like just going for as many fiction or other things that I enjoy. Because I read so many books, that means I have lots to choose from, so I've tried not to repeat within the questions. So let's dive right in. The first question is the best fiction book you've read so far this year. And I went back through like the top five, like 5-star books that I read, and there's been quite a few. I've read some really amazing fiction and non-fiction so far this year, but my favorite has to be The Vanishing Half by Bennet. What an incredible book. Like, I've been hearing for years that it was great, obviously, and like obviously the element that people compared with Passing by Neil Larson, and yeah, I just was always keen to read it but never got my hands on it, and I finally I think got it, I think in May or June, I don't know, one of the 2 months anyway, and I read it and it was so good. I struggled to stop, you know, it's like unputdownable, and yeah, I just enjoyed it, and it was one of these fiction that I felt there was nothing missing. I literally was just like 5-star. Like, this was, it was some harrowing stuff, but it was such a good reading experience. I just went along with the characters. I was so invested. I cared so much. So for me, that's like a top reading experience, and I loved it. With this celebration tag, one of the things I've done is separate fiction and non-fiction. So number 2, I have best non-fiction book you've read so far this year. And for me, it won't be a surprise that it's The Story of a Heart by Rachel Clarke, which has won the non-fiction prize, the Women's Prize this year. Immediately from reading it, I was like, this is such an incredible book, an incredible story. And I know it, when you pull a heartstring, it's easier, I think, to get people to like what you're talking about. So I think like documentaries, you know, about children or about, you know, things that like you really care a lot about might have more impact or might resonate more with people. So I do appreciate that the topic was like maybe easier for people to like get taken with. But what an incredible book. The way that she told the story of those 2 children, their family's life, the way they were intertwined, but also then going back and interspersing that with the scientific innovation and research that have made heart transplant possible is truly incredible, and it's a big one that I recommend for sure. In number 3, the question that I put was best book that you've reread so far this year. And unfortunately, I have not reread anything this year so far. I think last year I went through that and I did reread quite a few because I went through the rereadathon, I want to say. So that was really fun actually, and I reread some of my favorite books. So good. But this year so far I haven't. So I'm gonna say here is that I did reread an author. So I actually read Wong's Guide to Snooping on a Dead Man by Jessie Sutanto. So I've obviously read many of her books before, at least 4 or 5. I enjoyed her humor and her sort of cases. It's usually a little like cozy mystery stuff. So yeah, I really enjoyed that one as well. And yeah, I had a lot of fun following Vera Wong on the second book of the series. In number 4, it sort of leads on from the third question, I guess, but it's best series that you've discovered so far this year. And I haven't actually started a new series this year so far, so I thought that I would just highlight an existing series that I've continued this year, which is the Legendborn series by Tracy Deonn. I actually read the second book. I think I want to say I read the first one during the pandemic, and then I read the second one only earlier this year. And it did take me a while to get into, but once I was in, I was like, oh yes, I'm definitely continuing this series. And I've just started the third one. So I'm on that series, like, you know, path. I'm going with it. And yeah, it's sort of ups and downs because like I always find it a bit frustrating reading stuff with like teenage protagonists, because I feel like that's not something that I enjoy reading as an adult, but also like sometimes I get really taken with the lore and with the all of the characters' stories. And yeah, so this is one definitely that I'm really enjoying. The change as well from like the usual like chosen kid with magical powers, like I really appreciate like the deeper lore into Root and into like following these Black women with their own like channeling powers. And yeah, that's a really good one. And if you haven't tried it but that sounds like your thing, I definitely would pick up Legendborn, definitely. And number 5, the question is best book that came out this year you've read so far this year. And I was actually really surprised to see that I've read 11 books that have come out in 2025 so far this year. Like I'm usually a bit behind times, so I'm quite pleased with that. And there were 3 in the top ratings. Like there were 3 that I thought I sort of will mention them because I'm gonna try to mention as many books as possible here. The first one is Fundamentally by Nussaibah Younis. Obviously this came out I think in February this year, and this was a debut novel. It was then nominated, like longlisted and then shortlisted for the Women's Prize for Fiction. I actually really enjoyed it. I know it wasn't everyone's cup of tea, and I know it could have been done better. It does suffer at times from being a debut novel, and you can see like the end is rushed a little bit, and like there are some things, but overall it's such a heavy topic and an interesting topic, but there was so much humor as well. And yeah, I just thought she did a fantastic job, like, you know, in debut, and I really enjoyed it. The second one is a non-fiction, which is One Day Everyone Will Have Always Been Against This by Omar El Akkad. And this is, yeah, it's a non-fiction about political stuff around the world, but especially obviously in this sort of Israel-Palestine situation at the moment, and how people view the world now, very black and white, how hindsight is basically always 2020. But yeah, this was a top read for sure. And the last one, which I actually just read in June, was Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry. And yeah, just a nice one, a little love. He's very different from the other 2, but yeah, I just really enjoyed it. And yeah, just that's it. Just some three good books. And number 6, the prompt is best book that took you out of your comfort zone, like a genre you don't usually read, or you know, reading from a book prize, something like that. And for me, I actually struggled because I do read from like sort of all genres, but one thing I don't love is books about or set during the World Wars. And it's just a lot. There's a lot, and I feel like I've read a lot, so it's not something that I now seek. But for the Women's Prize for non-fiction shortlist, Agent Zoe by Clare Mulley was obviously shortlisted, and I was like, okay, I'll read it. Now I want to read the shortlist, I will do it. And oh my god, what a fantastic book. Incredible. And for me, it was just second after Story of Her Heart, which is why it wasn't my favorite nonfiction. But yeah, truly an incredible book about history, about women's ability and power to make change, and just generally a very interesting biography, and also historically about Poland during and after the war. So yeah, a huge recommend that came out as a surprise to me from the prize shortlist. The 7th prompt is a favorite new to you author for this year. And I won't repeat Brit Bennet because obviously that was my favorite book of the year and she was a new to me author. Obviously she's on that list. But to not repeat her, I will mention 2 other authors that were new to me that I absolutely loved their book, which I will put here. So the first one is the author Kim Fu, Canadian author. Loved her book, so good, short stories. And the second one is Hwang Bo-Reum. I'm so sorry, I'm working on my Korean as well, but I'm not there yet, clearly. But yeah, read her book as well, and yeah, just really enjoyed the cozy vibes and bookshop vibes. So I had a good time with both their books. In number 8 is best book that lifted your spirit this year. And for me, I have to say there's many of them, but I read a lot of Hwang stuff as well. But I had a really great time reading the short story collection by Joyce Chng, which is Wolf's Path. I don't know why I picked it up on that galley. I guess I just saw the cover, thought it was really interesting, and I was like, yeah, I'll try this, you know, short stories. It has some fantasy element, and a lot of stuff is based on mythology as well, and there's a lot of queer elements to these stories, and it was so good. Go check it out. In number 9 is who is your favorite booktuber you've discovered this year? And for me, I have to highlight Dani Burgess. I discovered her profile through her reviews of Women's Prize for nonfiction and fiction books. Obviously, that's something I'm huge in following, and so I found some of her reviews and sort of subscribe, and I recommend you go follow her, and I look forward to what her opinions will be next year as well for the 2026 prize. And in number 10, hype yourself. What is your favorite video that you've created so far this year? And for me, it's a bit difficult because this year I feel like Booktube is taking a bit of a backseat, like from last year basically, and I don't feel like I've had the time and space in my mind to be as creative with my videos, so I don't know that I've made that many interesting videos. But I will say my predictions videos for the women's prizes, I always enjoy doing the research and obviously sharing it with people, and they're usually my videos that have the most views. I usually get over 1,000 or 2,000 for my women's prize for fiction predictions, and it's so cool to start a discussion early, and I'm already working on my predictions for next year, and they've just announced the dates for next year, so I'm so excited already. And yeah, so it's always great to actually, you know, get going with the prize season. And that's it for me with the celebration tag. I would love to hear what were your best books of the year, what were your best sort of uplifting moments and authors that you recommend. And if you've done a celebration tag sort of remix, let me know in the comments and I'll go and check it out. So as always, thank you so much for watching, and hey, see you back. Bye!